Hello again everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at doing the wheel bearings on the back of the Nissan Note. I've noticed a noise, like a droning noise from the back of the car for quite a while now, and a good way to test to see if it is the wheel bearing is to jack the wheel up and spin the wheel as fast as you possibly can. If you do it slowly you just won't hear it, but if you do it nice and quickly you can hear a horrible grinding noise inside the bearing. So we'll progress with taking the wheel off. It's rather windy today, so I'm sorry if your audio isn't very good. We'll take the wheel off and then I'll show you what we should do next. Now, first trick, always remember to loosen off the wheel nuts. I actually take two out and loosen the other two. You'll never get the wheel off, your new wheel nut off, once it's in the air. The tyre helps you, gives you some friction to push against, so loosen them all off first. I say this in all my videos, please purchase some axle stands. They're not expensive, you can't really trust your jack, and if it was to fail you could get seriously hurt, so these are much safer. I've got this one under the suspension point. Right, so the wheel's off and we've got this exposed brake drum now. This is what causes the rear wheels to break. It's essentially a cast iron hollow drum, and inside here there are brake shoes, one either side as my finger's indicating, that move outward when you press the brakes and contact the inside. I'll show you when we take this off. The inside surface is really shiny where the brake has been pressing on it. So first of all we need to take off this. This is the dust cap, and inside here is the nut that's holding this on. And inside there you'll also see the bearing. So we'll get this off. You just tap it out with a screwdriver and twist the end until you get it off. Generally with new bearings you will get a new cap, so don't worry about damaging it. Okay, so I've got the cap off. This is it, the metal thing. I turn it over, you can see it just pushes in to this hole, and inside there is the nut which holds on the brake drum. Now this is a Nylock, what they call a Nylock Nut. And what that means is there's a nylon insert in the end which helps to hold the nut tight. You'll notice there's no pin. A lot of these will have a castellated nut and what they call a cotter pin which goes through and then you twist the ends up. Not so on this one. Now this is quite tight, this nut. The book says about 130 foot-pounds, so it's going to take a 30mm socket and probably some considerable jumping up and down by me to get this undone, so you might need a longer breaker bar for your socket. Okay, so that went better than the last one. Right, in here, let me just get it in focus. You see those two little holes there? That's the circlip. You need to pull those two holy ends towards each other to get the clip to come out, and we'll show you that later. Thankfully mine came off just by wiggling. It was a little bit tight on the brake shoes. Thankfully the brake shoes look relatively okay, so no worries there about having to change those. But you can see how it works. There's the cylinder. When you press the brake it pushes out either side, which these then hinge on the bottom and push out. These push out like that towards the inside of the drum. If I turn the drum over you can see there's a shiny surface all around the inside of it, so the brake shoes press on this part. You'll notice as well there's a ring on the back here which looks like it's got little teeth on it. These are actually teeth. If I rub my finger on them, look, they'll go away. That's just bits of metal that's come off the drum. This is the ABS ring, and inside here you'll see there's a little detectory doodad here, and that sits against here, and there's magnets. There's magnets inside this ring all the way around, which is what causes the stripes, and it reads those going round. So some say you need to take this off. I've not needed to while doing mine. So our next job is take out the circlip, and we need to get that bearing out of there. That's an interesting job. Okay, I don't have any circlip pliers, but I did find in the back of the drawer these little sniping nose pliers that have got bend on the end. And believe it or not, they're absolutely perfect as circlip pliers. So what you need to do is, if you can see what I'm doing, let me just get it in place, zoom in. The points of the pliers are in the holes, and then what you need to do is squeeze those together. It is extremely strong, this clip, and then lift it up. I'll have to do it off camera because it's a bit awkward to do, but you squeeze those together to make the ring smaller and then lift it out. Just be careful, because if you let go of it and it hits you in the eye, oh boy will you know about it. Okay, here's the Circlip, got it out. It is a bit of a faff, but you can do it. It's quite thick, so it is quite springy, and you've really got to be careful that it doesn't fly out and hit you. So there's essentially nothing now holding the bearing in, apart from friction. Now, these bearings need to be pushed from the back side, so this bit needs to go down and out the front. Be careful you don't damage this ring. Now normally you would press this on a hydraulic press, like if the garage did it, they would have an hydraulic press to push this out. I've got another method which I bought online, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, right, we're now in the workshop and I need to push that bearing out. Now what I've done is I bought a kit off the interweb, and it comes with lots of washers and funny shaped plates and little metal tunnels and other bigger plates, a massive great bolt with a washer, and this thing. Now the idea is that you put, bear with me, you put a washer on there and you put that through the hub, and you effectively put spacers on the other side, and you slowly wind this and you push the bearing through to the outside world. I'll set this up, it's much easier once you see it set up the way it needs to go, and then I'll show you how it works. Right, so here we go. The huge nut is in the vise. Then there's like the metal tunnely thing, that's there so the bearing's got somewhere to fall out of when you tighten this up. And then on the top we've got the big nut with a washer under it. Now on here you should have one of these that's the right size. I ordered the right size, but what came wasn't. So hey ho, you live and learn. So because this bearing is foobarred anyway, I don't really care if I kill it on the way out. And to put the new one back in, to push it in, I've got a solution for that weight in as well, and I'll show you that when I'm pushing it back in again. So essentially all you do now is get your socket on there and twist and twist and twist and twist until the bearing falls out. Okay, right, when you first start to tighten this thing, what you'll notice is it's really stiff, and then you get a bit of a crack, which is the bearing releasing. I don't know if you can see there that it's already moving down. So you just keep tightening this nut. It will be quite hard work, but eventually the bearing will get pushed down and down and down and will fall in that metal tube underneath. Right, another quick update. You can see now that the bearing's well on its way to freedom, and the nut's there, the bearing's just about to fall out. All feels okay in there. I'll carry on, and when it's fallen out we'll look at putting the new one in. Okay, so we have a result. Bearing is out. There it is. So it's fallen in the receptacle part. So I just need to take all this to bits, and then I'll show you how we're going to put the new one in, which is actually using part of the old bearing. Right, so here's our bearing kit. This is the new bearing. We get a new Circlip, we get a shiny new bearing, we get a new cap, and we also get a new Nylock Nut. You can quite clearly see the nylon insert in the end of that one that holds it on, or helps to. Right, so these we don't need for now. I'll take the bearing out and I'll show you the trick. Right, there's the old knackered one. The new one, what I found is half of the space that this bearing fits into, right up to where the Circlip groove is slightly bigger. So that will actually drop down, look, until it reaches the bit where you would normally have to push it in with a hydraulic press at a garage. I'd have one of them, and I don't really want to buy one just to do this once. So what I've done is I've taken the other old bearing and I've smashed the innards out of it. You can do this quite easily, to be fair. If you just hit with a chisel on this black seal bit, the bearing races inside will pretty much fall out. And I don't know if you can see inside there, it's tapered towards the middle on each side for each bearing. The good thing is that fits that perfectly because it's the same bearing. So then all we need to do is put one of the plate gizmos on there. It's already sat on a plate on the back just to support it. We don't need the box thing now, the tube, because the bearing isn't going to be coming out the bottom. It's going to be pushed all the way to the bottom where it sits on a little shoulder, and then we should be able to see the circlip groove and put the new circlip in. So here goes. Right, we're all ready to go. So big bolt, washer, plate, old bearing with nothing in the middle, new bearing sat in the drum, plate on the bottom, big nut. So we turn this and it will slowly push the bearing where it needs to be. Now I first worried about doing this because I thought, oh god, what if I get that old bearing thing in there and then can't get it out? But remember, the top bit of the drum is slightly bigger and this will easily come out, trust me. I'll wind it in a little bit and then I'll show and prove it to you. Okay, so I've wound it in and we're at the point where you can't see the new bearings are in, just the old one. I've undone this a little bit, look, and that's nice and loose. You're always going to be able to get that out. So all you do is continue until this bearing pretty much disappears into here, and you'll get to the point where you just physically can't tighten it anymore because the bearing is sat on the shoulder it needs to at the bottom. So just continue to turn. Okay, take the nutter and washer, and the old bearing sleeve's still in there, look, but if I can get hold of it, it quite easily comes out, so no drama there. Keep that for the future. And in there, look, new bearing, and it's right up to the point where the circlip will go in above it, which I'll do outside. So migrate back outside and fit it back on the car. Okay, time to fit the new circlip. As you see, won't go in until you squeeze it. Squeeze it together with the pliers, and then once you've got it inside here, you can slowly push it down until it clicks into the little groove. Make sure it's in the groove, otherwise it's not holding anything in. Hurrah! Drums back on, the circlip's in. We're on the final furlong now, folks. So, new Nylock Nut. Screw that on. You probably only get it as far as the nylon, and then it'll be real difficult. Screw that on with your breaker bar and your socket. Then we have to get the torque wrench out and do it to the right torque, about 125, 130 foot-pounds. Okay, time to torque wrench it. I've set the torque wrench to 125, and all you do is press it, press the nut on. Alright, I've set the torque wrench to 125, which you do on the handle, and then you just press until you hear that noise. It's difficult with one hand and the camera in the other. That means you're at the right torque. Now, these aren't expensive. I think I paid about 25 quid off Amazon for this. It's a Sealy one, it's a calibrated one, so it's certainly not a rubbish tool. And then all we've got to do is fit the new dust cap out the box, fit that in there. That can be a bit of a drama because it always wants to fly off in the opposite direction, but you'll get it. Just hit it with a mallet, wheel back on, job done.